And now, your official TigerBait postgame show with Mike Scarborough and Preston Guy starts now.
All right, LSU fans, give me your honest opinion. Those of you who are watching, how many of you would like to for this season to be over tonight and no longer have to subject yourself to watching that football team? I know I don't want to see them anymore. I have no desire to watch this football team. It is what it is. If I had a DeLorean out in the driveway, get up to 88 miles an hour. Right on the street here in the neighborhood, and fast forward to December 1 and just get it over with. Maybe come back for Thanksgiving, but maybe some high dose NyQuil to get me through to December 1. But just an anemic effort, rancid offensive production tonight, loads of mistakes. Freshman tackle took his lumps. And you got your Michael Van Buren. You got to see your Frank Wilson clock management. What else do you want to throw in there? This season is what it is. And Verge Alsbury was there tonight. And I saw him doodling on a piece of paper. I don't know what notes he was taking, but hopefully he's feeling a lot of calls from the who's who and coaches that are available in the coming weeks. It's going to be very interesting. Blake Baker's defense did what they had to do, but it wasn't near enough on the road, and Alabama certainly gave you a lot of chances. That game was winnable if you had any semblance of just average offense. All right, Preston, give us your thoughts.
Well, new AD, new coach, new quarterback, same result, same very frustrating result, because this is a winnable football game. They scored 20 flipping points on you tonight. Your defense did everything you can ask to have an opportunity to win this game. Just go be average, score a touchdown, and you couldn't score a touchdown. And you're starting to see that, everybody likes to talk about, well, is it the coach, is it the players? And you're starting to see a lot of these offensive problems weren't just as simple as, we'll just get rid of Joe Sloan. I didn't like the offensive game plan. I certainly didn't like the offensive execution. A putrid 232 yards tonight with 13 first downs, penalties galore. Pass protection was brutal. In the first half, you had more screens than Best Buy, and it was working for a little bit till they adjusted, and then you just had no adjustments. And then, I understand why you bench Nuss, even though he's 18 of 21 for 121 tonight. He was making some bad decisions that weren't just the way he was throwing the ball and his pocket presence, and you really just needed some sort of spark and flash. But that being said, very frustrating offensive performance. Someone give Blake Baker his flowers, because guess what? His defense is performing better than it looks on paper, because he gets nothing, no assistance from the offense. They do not move the ball. They do not set him up in good field position. They do nothing. And the defense, by the way, is doing a ton to help this offensive out. You got a 4th and short stop where the offense got the ball on the 40, their own 40, and then you got a turnover in plus territory, and you went backward. So it is very frustrating for this offensive unit. Very curious to see what direction do y'all want to talk about the frustrating offense, or is this going to be like 2021 where coaching chatter dominates the post-game shows?
Yeah. I don't know that this absolves Joe Sloan of all the abuse that he took. You had 2 weeks to get this thing going, and I didn't see anything that made you think that it was all Joe Sloan's fault. I mean, Trey Green with several drops there that were just brutal. The offense is just painful to watch, and unfortunately, we've still got one more night game left. Am I right? Oklahoma will be a 2:30 to 5:30 window. Western Kentucky's. Can we move that to 11 in the morning?
That'll probably be 6 p.m.
I thought it was already settled that it was 7.
Oh, is it? I didn't see that. I thought, anyways.
Yeah.
You're probably right. They probably announced that one already. Probably
No, but no,
morning.
Western Kentucky will be a night game. It's not settled yet, but it'll be no less than 6:00. So, let's get it to 11 a.m. Get it over with. All right. Move it to a Thursday night. Do something. Get it out.
11:45 is Arkansas, by the way. Yeah, so we'll see.
Unwired with a super chat. Was this the last game for 18 as a starting quarterback? I don't think so. I think they handled it right. Gave Van Buren an opportunity. I think you probably do something similar the rest of the way. Garrett Lee, I would start him again.
Let me ask you this. I mean, Michael Van Buren was exactly what we had been describing all fall camp, right? Some dimes, some ducks, some excitement, but ultimately we're talking about a guy who went 5 for 11 for 52 yards, and I understand there was a drop that very easily should have been caught. But a lot of these throws, the accuracy was just very concerning, to the point where if it's a couple inches off, it's a very different result. But he definitely does some things differently than Nussmeier. Definitely gives you a good spark, and ultimately Nussmeier has to be more decisive.
There you go.
That's the windows. Yep. Thank you, Open Bayou.
I had one I've clicked 4 times. There it is. Justin, no, he's not.
It will not.
Let's stop this nonsense. I saw parts of it fire the Tulane win. Are you bringing that up because you want Summerall?
I was talking with people about Summerall, and one thing I found very concerning, I don't think he's had a single top 20 win in his 4 years as a head coach. That would be something that I would give me great pause with Summerall, but I mean, ultimately he's winning at G5 programs at a high rate.
All right, everybody, if you're enjoying the show, please hit that like button. I know it's you're not really to enjoy the game itself, but if you like the content and you're participating, we're going to be here for a good hour plus. Please hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And as always, if you're not subscribed, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. All right, let's see. Eric DeLion, this offense is absolutely inept. That is the exact correct word to use. This is all coaching because look at the defense, and that's why they don't have a mental fortitude, unfortunately. Apathy for the love of God benching us for the rest of the season. Being able to run from the quarterback will back off the pass rush. Look, maybe I'm wrong. I still think that they're going to start us the rest of the way. Fire 3449, delay of game, drop passes, can't pass block, and Bama doesn't get a penalty called him until 11:48 in the third quarter. The SEC protects Bama as usual. Man, I'm sorry. I'll give you all the rest of that, but I'm not going to the referee card on this one. Hit the like button. Ouch.
We talking about the new president or the grocery store?
Yeah. Justin Thompson lost. It was a winnable game.
Yep.
And I give big credit to Blake Baker and his defense. They did what you had to do. They weren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they did enough. If you had any semblance of an offense with a pulse. Yeah, this is the one right here. Isaiah Dowry, Bauer Sharp is just not a dog. Man, you want to talk about a guy who's got how many practice updates did I do in the spring or fall where all I did was talk about how great Bauer Sharp looked. I'm like the hot take king right now when it comes to Bauer Sharp, and it's what a disappointment it's been.
On 20-something grabs, I think it's 22 grabs after tonight, he's fumbled and lost the ball twice. I mean, that is statistically just not a good look at all. Not to mention he's had a few pivotal drops.
I mean, but Preston, I mean, he looks so good in practices and scrimmages that we were out there.
Oh yeah,
it just shows you what I mean, I don't know how we're supposed to from here forward grade or put on a curve what we witness. Of course, depending on who the next head football coach is and what access we get, it might be a moot point. Several of the coaches that are on LSU's on the hot board that we put out aren't near as generous with media access. So maybe that might be a good thing.
Mike, let me ask you this. On the offensive side of the ball, was there any bright spots to point out tonight? The tight ends, disappointing. Receivers, I guess, were okay. I mean,
where did Harlem Berry go in the second half?
Yeah, he disappeared. I mean, and I understand that you have to throw the ball downfield because you're down down 2 scores,
right,
and you have to change your game plan. But I mean, Harlem Berry, if you're going to point to a bright spot, Harlem Berry's your guy. Of course, 12 carries, 66 yards, including the 35-yarder. But boy, they got absolutely stuffed on the goal line there. That was brutal.
One time, $5 super chat. Thank you. Nuss was the downfall of Kelly. Man, we how often do we see quarterbacks make head football coaches and break them? I mean, Preston brings it up when we were talking about Clark Lee. You know, what does he do post Diego Pavia?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Clark, MVB's legs are good enough.
They're good.
Yeah, this is my question going forward. Patrick Bloom, how many players opt out of the season before next week? I don't know that you're going to have players opting out. That's a bad look on them and the way that they're viewed.
Yeah, I agree.
The question is, how many players are available for a bowl game?
That's a good question. I would say not many, based on history, although Frank and them have done a very good job of retaining this roster and recruiting class. I mean, they need their credit for doing that. I don't think they've had a single opt out, but at this point, why would you opt out? I mean, you can't hit the portal yet. And no one's going to save themselves a red shirt at this point in the year if they've been playing consistently. So I don't know that there's anybody who really fits that agenda.
Gary Williams, media should not be invited to practice ever again. I'm sorry y'all talk too much and allow too many people in. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, I don't know what.
So can I talk on this real quick, Gary? Look, Gary, I don't necessarily disagree that it might be bad to let the media talk about it. Now, I'm going to just tell you from our perspective, though, if you're going to let the entire media core out there, we're not going to be the only ones not telling you about what's going on out there. So I don't necessarily disagree that maybe there was too much media access. That being said, I don't know that any coach is reading, our practice reports and making discernible decisions about how to defend LSU's offense because of that.
Yeah. If we would have been able to decipher what we were really seeing and say this team's going to have this record and the coach is going to get fired before you get out of October. Right. I mean,
yeah, I thought this was going to be a very good football team this year, guys. My bad.
Either way, the media in that situation loses, right? Texas Tiger with a super chat. How many passes to the flat or screens is enough? I get why they think they need to do that, but
it got old fast.
Yeah, and some of the guys that you're throwing it to are not need to be going north south because they're. I mean, I love Aaron Anderson, but I want to get him on the move underneath. And another instance where Garrett Nussmeier hangs him out to dry and he gets hurt.
I also want to ask.
Just real quick, Preston, before you go, there was someone saying get Kern off this team with an expletive. I'm sorry, man. He's a true freshman and he's playing out of position. This is on Brad Davis. Everything that you're seeing on that putrid offensive line right now is on Brad Davis.
Absolutely. I was just going to point out, if you're going to do, a dozen or more of these dink and dunk little bubble screens, Don't you think you should maybe get Jelani Watkins involved? I know he's not polished as a receiver. Maybe his hands aren't there, but he's the fastest guy on the team and one of the fastest guys in America. Why not just see if you can get a lane and see what he can do? Just a little wrinkle thought that I have. I know you've got a lot of guys who are good with it, but I think at this point you're in the let's see if we can explore something new that might give us a spark. Because God knows you haven't had a spark all year. You've gone. I mean, Mike, you're midway through November and you haven't scored 25 points yet in a game against
That's crazy.
Team. That's disgusting. That's appalling. That is no wonder you paid the coach $53 million to go away.
Kenny Haines is a proud 1989 graduate of LSU Law School with a passion for justice. Kenny stands out as the only lawyer in the state, board certified in both appellate practice and family law. Drawing from 34 years of trial experience, Kenny has navigated the most complex aspects of real people's lives. If you need help in Northwest Louisiana with a family issue, legal issue, or a highly skilled trial attorney, call Kenny 318-222-2100.
All right, and of course, Kenny is the unofficial official attorney of TigerBait.com and been with us and a sponsor of this post-game show from the very beginning. And we appreciate him being with us every football season. I need to talk about Dykes Electrical, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. No matter how big or small your electrical needs might be, Dykes is wired for success. You need a brand new 10-story office building, they can wire that. A 200,000 square foot warehouse you need built, they can wire that. Expand your existing commercial building, changing out a breaker, a whole electrical panel, just a receptacle, the old lighting in your home or office, they can wire all of it. Give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180 for a free estimate on your project, and make sure to let them know that Tiger Bait sent you in. All right.
Guys, I want to add to Dykes real quick, though, before we move on. If you're looking for Christmas lighting or game day lighting to get through this putrid season, Dykes can help you set that up too, by the way. They have permanent outdoor lighting. It's really cool. You can get your whole house lit up, whatever holiday, Thanksgiving, if you don't like doing Christmas too early. Go in, make sure to drop one of our names if you go talk to them, guys. They're really good guys. They'll give you a free estimate and figure out what you need.
Yeah, it's very important that y'all, if you enjoy the show, we got a lot of repeat. Please patronize our sponsors and always let them know that you found out about them through us. It really helps them gauge that they're spending their advertising dollars wisely. DJ with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that. This BK offense just isn't that good or creative. Look, there's no doubt that Atkins is probably hamstrung a great deal, even with 2 weeks to prepare, having to work within the system. There's no way you're going to go in there and install a whole new offense and with brand new terminology and this and that. You don't do that. You have to operate within the parameters of the Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly offense and what they've been running for several years. But, look, there was a couple of drives in the first half where, it looked like they were really had it dialed in, but then you get to that red zone and then you start having penalties and it's just typical. That first offensive drive encapsulated the whole LSU season in a nutshell for me. You start off both halves with a penalty on first down.
And, of course, the signature freak-out timeout on your first opening drive from Nussmeier. There's just certain quirks of this team that are just so gosh darn infuriating.
I'm not sure what LSU Tigers 8 is trying to sell here. Frank Wilson didn't recruit these players. Yes, he did. What are you talking about? He's the guy. Him and Austin Thomas, essentially, to be honest with you, why Brian Kelly is no longer the head coach is because Frank Wilson and Austin Thomas have basically been running this program. And I'm not throwing either one of them under the bus, but as far as personnel, it's been all Frank Wilson and Austin Thomas. He recruited all the running backs, including two that have had legal issues.
He's your recruiting coordinator, guys. He's your associate head coach.
Yeah, man. I don't know. What program are you watching, LSU TigerBait? You see anything you need to get to, Preston? If you see something, put it up.
I'll put some up there. Let's see here. Frank BK 2.0. He looked like BK screaming and then got confused, like he didn't know what was going on. Yeah, I mean, guys, I think the very fact, and look, I understand there's going to be a contingency of people who like Frank and want to see one of their, a Louisiana man running the program. We saw a lot of that with the Ogeron discussion. Guys, this team looks exactly identical to the team we've seen all year. Nothing changed tonight. I mean, absolutely nothing. Guess what? If BK was in charge, I think you see the exact same game, maybe a few less screens. I still think they would have turned MVB in the spot they did. Guys, the program's exactly the same. So I don't know that there's very much validity to the Frank Wilson talk at this point.
Raymond Scarborough Jr., one of my relatives, says we got turned down from the 20-yard line. We're going to run and play. Why did we throw it to a 7-foot tight end against a 4-foot elf? Yeah.
Lack of offensive innovation, guys, and look, I understand this offense has personnel issues. I think most of this offensive ineptitude is surely on coaching.
Kirby, we're not blaming Frank, but to act like he's not a part of the whole I mean, it's been him and Austin Thomas who have recruited these players. And there's good and bad. How it is. And by the way, there's good and bad in this. Because I know if it was up to Corey Raymond, he wouldn't have recruited a guy like PJ Woodland. Just from his measurables. Okay. Austin Thomas went out and got, the best player on the team, Mansour Delane. So, yeah.
Guys, I mean, look, here's the deal. I've given Frank Wilson his credit for maintaining the roster together in a way that's really much better than we should have. And sure, there was some extra energy tonight, but at a certain point, we have an obligation to the truth. And the truth is that the team looked exactly the same. And there's nothing that Frank Wilson did this week that should encourage you. He deserves the job as head coach. Now, I'm not saying he should not be retained as a part of this program. I mean, because Frank Wilson, I mean, his body of work speaks for himself. But if we're talking about head football coach, come on, guys.
Well, but we look, this goes back to the question I had a week ago, and I know some folks at LSU probably didn't like me pointing it out, and we had a full-blown analysis on it the next day, where for 75% of the games this season, you've had only 2 starters that prepped at Louisiana high schools out there on the field. Okay, well, who recruited that? All right. Who is the guy that you term the godfather of recruiting? That's Frank Wilson. Okay. BK has been playing golf and going to Alice Beach, Florida, and leaves it up to Frank and Austin Thomas to build the roster. Okay.
Thank you for the super chat one time.
Yeah, the kid from Mandeville that's running up and all down the field for Duke. You couldn't have used him. Frank Wilson didn't recruit him.
This offensive line has more holes than my working socks, man. I mean, you wouldn't have socks left if it had as many holes as this offensive line. Come on, man. Mike, do you ever recall a worse offensive line for LSU? I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I can't.
It's spectacular. And by the way, Brian Kelly had a very strong reputation for building an offensive line when he got here. There was a lot of hype around offensive line coach Brad Davis. It's very sad to see just how
Mike,
horrific it is.
And Mike, I'm not saying that Brad Davis did recruit these offensive linemen. He did. Blake Baker also chose which linebackers that he offered, but overall, the overriding personnel decisions on the football team have been Frank Wilson and Austin Thomas.
Frank's your head recruiting coach.
He has been for 4 years. Frank has overruled. Frank has overruled Corey Raymond on which cornerbacks to offer and which ones they would take. Okay.
By the way,
you ain't got to sell me on Brad Davis. Who's been calling for Brad Davis's head? I've been doing it for well over a year.
I don't think personnel is the worst part of this team. I think ultimately this is a poorly coached football team. So I'm not throwing Frank under the bus for saying, he recruited. I think this team has some really good talent to it, but except for the offensive line.
Yeah, ESPN should be paying us to watch the rest of LSU. Yeah, when they chose this game for tonight, and I get it's LSU Alabama. And by the way, like we said earlier, I mean this game was absolutely winnable. I mean, if you want to say that this, if you're going to grade this offensive performance tonight, give it a D or an F. I mean, what do they need? A C- to make this thing go to overtime, right? I mean, it's not like Alabama didn't give LSU a lot of opportunities to make this thing really dicey. I mean, in the middle of the third quarter, this thing, it was still possible.
It was very winnable. You look at, was that 4 trips to the red zone tonight? And you get 9 points off that. I mean, that is just, it's pitiful in a lot of ways, man. I mean, you didn't put the ball in the end zone once, not once. You had 1st and goal and you couldn't get it in the end zone, man. I mean, it's frustrating in a way that makes you just really want to make sure the next coach is an offensive mastermind.
Brian Smith, get rid of the entire staff except Blake Baker and Corey Raymond. Look, this is I feel like we're kind of having deja vu because it seems like we've been a part of a lot of coaches searches lately, and it's always who they need to keep, who's a must. Man, when things get to this level and you're going to bring in a coach and you're going to spend $10 to $15 million a year for one, you unless it's an Ed Orgeron who really, I mean, in hindsight, you like the 19 team, but in reality, he had no business getting the job when he got it. Okay.
It's true.
And in that case, he had no political capital to say, I want to clean house. Mm-hmm. He was lucky that he got the job. So he retained most of Les Miles's people, and Tommy Moffitt and everybody else in the building at the time. Everybody from the front door girl that buzzed you into the building, all of that was the same. But you can't expect a guy that's got a decent staff somewhere if he's winning a lot of football games and he's the kind of coach that you think LSU deserves to have, and they're going to spend big money on to keep all the people that you want them to keep from a previous staff because you believe that they're irreplaceable. Okay. If you don't keep Atkins, all right, your offensive coordinator, if you don't keep him, then people say, oh, well, then we're going to lose Solomon Thomas, who you didn't get to see. He will have came and went, and you never got to see him play, right? If you don't keep Corey Raymond, then DJ Pickett's going to hit the portal.
Mike, you don't make coaching decisions over personnel.
I know. And then you're going to have everybody also. Then everybody also is going to tell you that if you don't keep Frank Wilson, you're never going to get a player out of Edna Carr again.
Look, here's what I'm going to tell you. I will say this. Last time BK came in, he cleaned house. He fired Blake Baker. He fired Corey Raymond just to bring him back 2 years later after blowing a national championship. Because make no mistake, one of the special things about LSU is every once in a while, you're going to catch lightning in the bottle and you're going to win a gosh darn national title. Even if you're an average coach, by the way. And guess what? That lightning in the bottle was caught in 2023 when you had a Heisman winner quarterback. You had the 3rd best offense in SEC history. You had Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas airing it out. All you had to do was put just an average to maybe slightly below average defense out there, and you win the god freaking natty, okay? And part of the reason why you weren't average is because you sent Blake Baker and you sent Corey Raymond packing just to hire him the next year for twice the money. Okay, so that's when I say, when I'm like, when the new coach comes in, don't just clean house just to clean house. But if you feel Blake Baker isn't the best fit for you, I get it. I understand. Get the coordinator. Don't handcuff the new coach.
And look, and by the way, having said that, okay, if Lane Kiffin comes in, I think he may. I mean, do you think it's automatic that he would say, no, I want Golden over Blake Baker? I don't know.
I think he would be wise.
To be defensive coordinator. He might. But if Summerall ends up getting a job somewhere, then Blake Baker's going to be the head coach at Tulane. I mean, there's still a lot of shoes to drop. If Eli Drinkwitz gets the LSU head coaching job, well, he's already got a relationship with Blake Baker.
Yeah,
he's going to ask him to stay.
Huh? That's a shoe-in. That's a shoe-in. Here's the deal. There are coaches who should be highly recommended to retain, okay? And I definitely think those two, Blake Baker and Corey Raymond, they should be highly recommended to the new coach. Hey, these are guys. These are Louisiana guys.
I think I have Peoples ahead of Corey Raymond.
Okay, yeah, he's one. I don't mind Peoples at all.
He's one of the best coaches in the SEC, period.
I'll beat on my chest about Frank Wilson as well. I don't like his running back rotation. I get it. He's still a legend, an icon, an elite recruiter, okay? He's still a guy I think should be kept around as a running back coach.
Look, you're making me go and play the opposite of that, and I don't want to do that, but I've been covering recruiting for 30 years, and I can give you a list of every coach that's recruited New Orleans that never lost any recruits out of New Orleans. If you're in charge of being the recruiting coordinator at LSU, and your only territory is Louisiana, Preston, what's your batting average going to be?
So I'm not going to give you any pushback on
if you walk into the high school wearing an LSU polo. I don't care if you're a 90-year-old crusty white guy walking into a majority black school in New Orleans. You're going to get the majority of the players.
All right, here's what I am doing in response.
Unless you're just way out of whack NIL.
Are you saying that you would prefer the coach bring in a new recruiting coordinator and new running back coach?
No, because I think, look, Verge is now the athletics director. Who's the first guy that Verge is going to tell the new coach that he needs to keep?
Frank, for sure.
Because that's his friend.
Yeah.
And Corey's next. They're both from New Iberia in the same age. Yeah, Brian Smith, NIL makes a good recruiter overrated.
It's a little bit true, actually. I did hear the other day, people are talking about how maybe the CEO coach model is a little bit dead because of NIL, because now the ability to just, go into a living room and win over a mother. Well, now you just show up with the bag, you get your financials lined up, and notice it's tacticians who are winning now at high levels. I mean, Ryan Day, that's a coordinator guy. I mean, a lot of people winning are people who are tactical head coaches.
Kenneth Roddy, Baker and Raymond are both worth their weight in gold. I'm just going to point out something to you, Kenneth. The two cornerbacks that are starting for LSU, neither one of them were recruited by Corey Raymond.
They're both portal guys that Austin Thomas brought in.
I'm not getting off. I've got people saying Kiffin ain't coming. Please get off Lane. He's sorry, Billy Wilkerson and others. Until he signs that extension with Ole Miss, he's going to be the number one guy on the board for 80% of the fan base.
Mike, I've been all over the Kiffin stuff. I've had some good scoops that I've posted on TigerBait.com. Still good, valid information. And this is, it's going to be an ever-evolving story. I will say this. I've had very good information on Lane Kiffin. And I currently believe it is more likely than not that he stays at Ole Miss. However, I'm not putting Lane Kiffin in the same category as like Saban for this discussion. Okay. I think Lane Kiffin is at odds for LSU where at least it's a realistic conversation. I know he considers LSU to be a sexy opportunity. I can only imagine what he thinks about his offense with guys like Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, right? He can only imagine what he would be capable of doing. All that to say, there's been a lot of rumblings, and I think the instability at LSU is something that makes it more difficult. I would say before all the rumblings of a week or two ago with president and governor having their fumblings, that you were much more likely than you would have been without that. Let's put it like this. And I'm pretty confident when I say that. Okay. All that to say, Lane Kiffin is a guy who's been fired 3 times now, and he's had chaos in his career. He's had stress, and he's going to have to, decide for himself. Does he want the sexy talent ability of LSU, or does he want the stability in his life that prevents him from having these fired on the tarmac moments? I'm sure you could only imagine the emotional PTSD of being fired on the tarmac of the airport unceremoniously at USC, and the turmoil of 3 jobs in 3 seasons he went through. So anyways, all that to say, I think there's a realistic shot for LSU, but it is more likely he stays at Ole Miss.
What's up, Tiger Nation? It's Trey Days Green. Go see my friend Matt Bowers when you need your next ride.
Get Matt's lifetime powertrain warranty included with every new vehicle purchase.
Shop smart. Buy local. Matt Bowers, CDJR, Baton Rouge.
All right, there you have it. Absolutely. And if you're looking for your next vehicle, make sure you support a local dealership that supports the Tigers. That's Matt Bowers, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram on Airline Highway near Behringer Foreman in Baton Rouge. And he's got an awesome NIL deal right there with LSU tied in Trey Des Green. And you can't beat their quality service, their lifetime powertrain warranty on all new vehicles. And, man, the Ram pickup trucks are out of this world. Shop them online today at mattbowerscdjr.com. And just fantastic folks. And we're glad to have them on board with us as a sponsor of all of our LSU shows. And need to talk about Baye's Oyster Bar. It's the place you want to be if you're craving oysters here in Baton Rouge. And again, they're on 315 North Boulevard. It's the old Jolie Pearl, and they've got the freshest farm-raised oysters from Grand Isle. No mud, no grit, just clean, delicious flavor. If you're not an oyster, swap in some boiled shrimp or try the turkey brie and bacon sandwich. They got a fully stocked bar, top-notch burger and whiskey. And so don't miss out on Baton Rouge's newest oyster spot, and make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in. And I need to talk about Alumni Hall. They've got all the great LSU polos. They've got all the quarter zips, all the new hoodies that you want with the great LSU logos all over them, high quality stuff. And I'm going to give this out to my friends and all of our people that watch our shows. TigerBait, all one word. Use the code, and whether you're online at their beautiful store in Perkins Row or shopping with them at alumnihall.com/LSU, you're going to get 10% off every time you place an order. You get free shipping on all orders of over $99. They got their Hall Pass rewards, and for every $150 you spend, you're going to earn a $10 reward for future purchases. Get over to their beautiful store. That's where you want to probably knock out a lot of your Christmas gifts for all the LSU fans in your life, and you can get 10% off when you do it with the code TigerBait. All right, Preston, there you go.
This team will finish 6-6. Will only beat Western Kentucky. I don't know. Arkansas should be a fun game. I'll put it like that. But their offense can move the ball. Case and Acock. I'd pump the brakes on Baker. Atrocious against running quarterbacks. That certainly does seem to be the drawback. But Mike, what you think?
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of defenses out there that are not good against running quarterbacks. That's what a running quarterback does for you. It gives you that that you're it's hard to defend. I think he's done. I think in 2 years back at LSU, he's gotten the maximum out of the personnel he's working with in both cases.
He's also getting no help right now, Mike.
No.
So, I think Blake Baker's done an admirable job that should be retained. If
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, I think the defensive front has been as good as it's been in a while. But let's be honest, who on that defensive front is going to be either first or second team All SEC?
Yeah. And by the way,
None.
Let's talk about the rebuilding job.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Jacoby and Guillory could be third team. I don't know. But you're not likely to have anybody on LSU's either off the edge or at your interior defensive line that are all SEC first or second team.
TGO1, you guys are great. I hope you have something equal to talk about soon. Appreciate that super chat, man. That was very nice and generous. Well, I certainly hope they find a coach who's much better than our show. That's for sure.
Tiger Mark, where do we go from here, guys? How, as a coach, you can get this team up emotionally and play hard the remainder of this season? I just asked for 60 minutes of football on both sides. It's not happening. Man, it is what it is. It's Brian Kelly used to like to say it a lot, where he's basically misquoting or paraphrasing Norman Dale from the movie Hoosiers. This is your team. These are your guys. There's no Jimmy Chitwood coming out of the stands to get you there. And there's not much you can do to change the personnel that you're working with on that offensive line and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
The Franco Nation, I say Kyle Williams is okay, but our front seven has not got to the quarterback. Yeah, and to me, that's personnel. I'm not dinging Kyle Williams for that. I think he's done a pretty darn good job.
Yeah, I think the front sevens. Look, ultimately, there's not a unit on this defense that hasn't had its moments of being pretty elite. I think defensive staff's done fine.
Seriously, is there any time this season where you said, "Oh, well, that shows that LSU's operating with a defensive line coach that's never coached at this level before"?
No.
I think he's done a very admirable job and then some.
No, I think
there's no Glenn Dorsey or Benny Logan on that defensive front, or no Kyle Williams. Patrick Bloom, thoughts on Kelvin Shepherd as a head coach candidate? I love Kelvin Shepherd. I just don't know with where this program is now and the amount of money you're spending for a coach to go away, and you've got you've got to get this one so right. And to me, you have to. Is it risk? How high risk is it? A guy that's never had to manage a roster and has never been a head coach.
All I'll tell you
it's a different thing.
Those people in Detroit love Kelvin Shepherd.
I love him. I watch all the highlights and him at the podium, the way his players love him.
Men.
Yep.
And he bleeds purple and gold. He loves Lions. He loves LSU. I was listening to a presser of him the other day. He's a sharp young man. He will get a head coaching opportunity somewhere soon. I wonder if maybe he would prefer to stay in the NFL. Some guys are built like that. Some guys aren't. We'll see. I certainly would not be mad if Kelvin Shepherd walked up to the podium and accepted that job. I'm not saying he's my favorite among the list. I would prefer to see an offensive tactician. I've said that, or at least a tactician of some sort, right? I would really like to see an offensive mastermind at LSU based on the receivers and personnel you get here in Louisiana. I think that would be really nice to see.
Go ahead and take some more if you can.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see here. J Money agrees here. I'd rather Shep than most other options. Malcolm X with a keep Frank as coach. I'm wondering if you mean head coach or as a running back coach.
I think he ends up. I have a hard time thinking of there being a scenario where he's not a part of the LSU staff, regardless of who gets hired.
I concur. Peyton and Pyburn have been a bust. McKinley and Bro have been mediocre. Guillory and Gooden have been your best defensive linemen. I don't know about that. I mean, I know Peyton and Pyburn aren't necessarily eating it up statistically, but I mean, the whole defensive line's provided good pressure and played sound fundamental football all year long. I mean, am I off on that, Mike?
No, I think you're right.
LSU showed some fight, but in the end, self-inflicted wounds, poor O-line play, and red zone whiffs were all the same. Man, those red zone whiffs, though. Here's the deal about the red zone whiffs. You get so close, you do move the ball, you do get down there, and then you just cannot figure a way to get 6 points out of it. And it's just enough to make your hair fall out. It's infuriating because all you need is one or two more of those red zone trips to convert your way, and you have that average offense that the doctor's ordering. And it is infuriating in a big kind of way because ultimately, if you were able to convert in the red zone, we'd be talking about a team that's a contender right now, but we aren't. We're talking about a 5-4 football team who is 1-4 in its last 5 games. What a whew. Patrick Bloom. Lanning came out and said the only way he leaves Oregon is if he's fired. He's not coming to BR. All right. I do want to mention Dan Lanning because I think Dan Lanning is a coach. If you hire him, I mean, that's a grand slam. I love Dan Lanning. Okay. I think the odds are very slim based on what he's talked about Phil Knight, the money, how much he values that in this era. I believe him when he says it. That being said, I also know that he's familiar with and likes the LSU opportunity. And he did just straight up said he would not leave. That being said, I always talk about denials when it comes to coaches. They have a lot of reasons to deny a job opening, even if they are interested, because they don't want, if they happen to not take it, they don't want to sabotage themselves at their current opportunity. I always look at a denial, and if they say no in a way that would sabotage themselves at the future opportunity, the would-be opportunity, that's when I look at it. Okay, that's over. Mike Tomlin a couple years ago was asked about LSU and said, LSU, college? Come on, man. Go ask Andy Reid about taking college jobs. I ain't going to college. He was belittling the college opportunity. That would have sabotaged him because they would have brought that clip up. It seems like you really didn't even want to be in college. Why did you take this job? You get what I'm saying? A sabotage comment.
Go ahead, Preston.
No, I got some more. Here's an interesting name. Dan Mullen is the head coach. Thoughts?
No.
Ass.
No.
No. He's
no.
He's out there at UNLV. I also think he's happy out there at UNLV. Low expectations.
Yeah.
Doing his
He's an
thing.
a-hole.
Yeah, I don't know if he would. Here's apathy. I don't think Dan Mullen would fit in very well with this.
Yeah, you want to talk about a fit, or what was the word they kept using for BK? Basically saying he wasn't a fit. What was the wording?
Culture fit.
Yeah, culture. Yeah, no.
Yeah, Dan Mullen would not be a culture fit. You know,
I mean, his claim to fame is Tim Tebow, and Tim Tebow hates his guts.
Mike, you know, and I don't want to keep on sounding like a broken drum here, but you talk about culture and fit with this head coach search now. What coach out there do you think their personality just fits LSU the best of the ones we're talking about? Doesn't it? Yeah. The more I think about it, and by the way, today he had an awesome moment where he goes out to midfield and takes a selfie with a fan who proposed on the field.
Yeah, that's just,
dude, LSU fans would eat that energy.
Yep. And he'd feed off of them.
And that's why a lot of this administrative chaos. Look, and there's a lot of negatives that come with Kiffin, and I could understand why you wouldn't want Kiffin as the coach. I just think, I mean, he is the chant they sing with Neck? He is that chant personified as a football coach. He matches this culture so well. Even if there are a lot of negatives, he's been fired and he's a little sporadic, and he choked a $20 million roster last year. Look, I get it all. I understand. I'm just saying, personality wise, culture fit wise, he would be really good for LSU. Let's see here. I think DJ Pickett is leaving too. Not fair to him to have to play with a rebuilding program. I mean, Mike, isn't basically the whole roster up for grabs?
You got to recruit the whole roster all over again.
For sure. Now, look, here's the deal. I actually believe NIL, the way a lot of this works, you might have a better chance retaining your roster than you did 4 years ago, when it's like, all right, portal's open season. You don't know who your coach is going to be, so go on. I think they're going to use these NIL resources to say, look, man, you don't know who your coach is, but I do have $500K for you next season. So why don't you just stick around? This is LSU. You're going to get a good coach. But that may or may not work on some guys, because a guy like DJ Pickett, you might get whatever from LSU, and then Oregon comes a knocking and says, look, I got more money, plus we know who our coach is, and he's a good one. So, I would expect somewhere in the middle of, say, the transition between Les Miles to Ogeron and BK, Ogeron to BK, somewhere in the middle of those two. You might not roll out with 39 scholarship players, but you might not roll out with 85 either. Oh my gosh. Oh man, Mike, do you want me to stop putting these type names on the screen? I think LSU gives Deion Sanders a call. Deion Sanders lost to West Virginia today. Deion Sanders is 3-7. Deion Sanders, during his tenure, I think he was let's see. He was 4-8, 9-3 last year. Good season last year. And then this year he's 3-7. I mean, come on, guys.
All right, I need to do an ad here, Preston. There it is on your screen, everybody. Your choice, the 2026 Genesis G70 or the 26 Genesis GV70. Look at that. 0.99% APR for 36 months, 1.99 APR for 60 months, and 2.99 for 72 months. And I mean, that's basically free money on a great Genesis vehicle at Genesis of Lafayette, your premier luxury dealership. And they got the finest cars and SUVs in the region, coupled with the best service anywhere. A huge inventory of new and certified pre-owned Genesis vehicles. Get over to 6600 Johnson Street or shop at genesisoflafayette.com. Please let them know that TigerBait sent you in. Call 877-856-2961. Huge LSU fans. And again, I tell you all the time, there's a reason why they sell more Genesis vehicles in the state of Louisiana than all the other Genesis vehicles, because they give great deals. They don't haggle. They'll bend over backwards. If there's a particular color combo you want, they're going to go the extra mile and locate it for you. And they're just spectacular. And I don't care if you're in Shreveport, East Texas, New Orleans, wherever you're watching from. If you're interested in a Genesis vehicle, you need to do yourself a favor and give them an opportunity to earn your business. All right. And Capital City Grill, brunch tomorrow, 11 to 2. Be there. Great brunch. And 100 Lafayette Street, downtown Baton Rouge. You've probably been there for their great lunches. You know all about their burgers and sandwiches. And they have that, if you want that, tomorrow as well, up until 3 o'clock. But their brunch, you see it on the screen, the chicken and waffles is the best in town. They've got the Eggs Benedict and other breakfast items, and just a really great brunch. They've got the mimosas flowing. And when you're full, do yourself a favor, get the carrot cake to go. It's made in-house, fresh. It's to die for. All right, let's get some more comments in here.
I got the best one.
There you go.
Um,
I told you I wanted to change my prediction at every post game show.
you know what's funny, Mike? Every year you're so tiger. You're so negative, and somehow it's even worse than what you're saying. And I can't stand it. Can't stand it. We got like a like an open just a gunshot range of names coming in. Do you want to tackle these one by one? I think we're just gonna laugh this one off and move on, right? John Gruden, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Will he ever get back into coaching?
He says he wants to, and he might, but I just don't understand what's so darn impressive about him. Other than
I wonder if AD's debated, and the reason why he's out of football is why they can't hire him.
Well, you know, I mean, he had, I don't know, what was it, email scandal stuff,
Right.
when he was at the Raiders. Guys, he won a Super Bowl 25 years ago. I'm not so certain why his resume is so impressive, man. You know how much football's changed since the last time John Gruden was a good football coach?
I can tell you right now, Marcus Freeman, it might be number one on Verge's board.
Oh,
He's
Marcus
got a
Freeman would be
relationship with
great.
him. His son
He's not
plays
coming.
for him. What?
Marcus Freeman, I am more certain than Nick Saban he would not come. That's how positive I am. Number
Well,
one.
I think you're wrong on that point.
No, he would not come. He already picked Notre Dame over LSU for a pay decrease. Okay. Like, he took less money to leave Cincinnati and go to Notre Dame as the DC. Okay. Number two, money
To be on Ed
resources.
Orgeron's staff, Preston, a sinking ship.
Yeah, okay, but at the same time, he's a very northern guy from Ohio State, very comfortable with the identity up there.
But it's not as much as Nick
positive.
Saban coming out of retirement.
No, I think it's a 0.00 chance that Marcus Freeman takes job. And Jimbo, LSU's not going to go for Jimbo, man. No way. And I don't know Jimbo's even applying. He probably has mitigation language in his contract. And if he takes a job, he doesn't get that payout. Here's another one. Lincoln Riley, offensive mastermind, no doubt, but he hasn't exactly won football games at USC.
No.
You know what's interesting, Mike? What's always an interesting thought is when you go back and look at previous candidates for previous openings, as we've had 2 in the last 10 years now. And you go and you look at what those coaches have done. And the fact is, most coaching candidates that were really hot names fade off into obscurity. Look at Mel Tucker. Remember how hot that name was for Michigan State? He has a scandal and he's out of coaching altogether. You know what one name has come up for all of these coaching searches who is still a hot name to this day? It's Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin was mentioned in 2016 when he was the coach of FAU as a fringe candidate, but a lot of people were like, well, look, you're considering hiring Orgeron. Kiffin hired Orgeron. He's an underling of Kiffin. Just bring in Kiffin, pony up, man. And then time.
Who has the highest odds of being the next LSU coach? Nick
In
Saban,
Vegas?
Marcus Freeman, or Dan Lanning?
Nick Saban, Dan Lanning, or Marcus Freeman?
Who has the highest odds?
First off, they're all like in the 1% or below category.
No, you got to pick one.
All right, then Dan Lanning.
All right.
But I mean, let's be very clear that I don't believe any of those are close to realistic.
If it's not Lane Kiffin, like there's a lot of people who want to say in the chat, that's why I keep thinking. And you, does it get to where it's Eli Drinkwitz and a guy who can start on December 1st because he's not in the playoffs, and you have a better chance of holding on to your recruiting class and keeping Blake Baker around, etc.
Mike, let me tell you this, and I want to point this point out here. Probably my most unpopular opinion about this coaching search: do not hire a coach because he's available for the portal window or for early signing day.
Well,
do not do it.
Well, one of the things that I've heard repeatedly about Lane Kiffin and the fact that he hasn't signed his new deal is that there is he wants to see how all this plays out,
Sure.
and he is interested in LSU. But that if this thing starts getting crazy and it's becoming a distraction for his Ole Miss team, then LSU will have really zero chance of getting him. Okay. Well, if you're in the middle of December and you still haven't hired a football coach, deductive reasoning is going to tell everybody in America that it has to be Lane Kiffin because he still hasn't signed his Ole Miss extension yet. So I don't know how you avoid that. So look, Verge in that group is going to have to do their due diligence and be on the phone constantly with agents and figuring out a game plan of the right way to move forward and make it happen to get their guy. But certainly Ole Miss, if there is a 30-40% chance that he would leave, Ole Miss is going to add another million and another million, and that money is going to get crazy in the end. Because Lane Kiffin and what he's doing for Ole Miss is similar to what Nick Saban did at Alabama for their enrollment. There's
a brand.
Money.
It's a brand. Yeah, he is
Yes.
a brand coach. He is a coach who elevates the perception of your entire university. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're willing to give him what's the current what they say the current offer is to him 13
13.5 is what I'm thinking. I'm seeing.
all right, you're not going to let him get away for 15 if you're Ole
they
Miss.
will find $1.5 million a year for sure.
Yeah, because of what he's doing for enrollment.
Yeah, it would have, and Lane Kiffin has come out and said he doesn't make decisions based on money.
And by the way, I'm saying all this not because Lane Kiffin is 100% my guy. There's a lot of the guys on the board, the coaches that we talk about that I think I'd be fine with. But look, they can go deep in the playoffs, man. So you have to weigh some of that stuff out. If you do all your, the way they pro and con it, and if they think there's really not a sliver's difference between one and the other, and one can be there in December, and because look, the reason why it's so important now is because you don't have that spring portal period anymore.
I get it. But Mike, you got NIL, you got Frank, you got Austin Thomas. Get the right man to lead your program. Take it on the chin for one season, man. I mean, you don't make decisions about the future of your program based on the decision of a few dozen kids. I'm sorry. You just don't. Kids come and go. A head coach is supposed to be, a decade-long investment, okay? That's my hot take. I respect it if you disagree. I respect anybody who thinks that I'm foolish for saying that. That's just my hot take in this. Yeah, we'll just we'll have to see how that plays out. It will be interesting to say the least. In terms of the money, do you think a coach is going to take one job over the other? Do you think a coach is going to take a job he likes less because he's making 13.5 versus 14.5 or 13.5 versus 14? No, he's going to pick the job he likes best. It's a little silly. The one he thinks sets him up to be successful or align with his goals best. Here's an interesting comment here, which this is something that got mentioned on my
I agree
show
with
this
him.
week. I got some intel on Heartline this week that I don't know if he'd be a good fit for LSU. I don't. I there's some off the field stuff going on with Heartline. He's certainly doing impressive work for Ohio State. But I think that there's been a few off the field incidents that would make him difficult. If you're going to go coordinator route, I'll tell you this, an interesting name, Glenn Schumann at Georgia, a guy who's won 6 championships as an assistant, albeit his defense, people are arguing that their defense has taken a step back under his tenure. I'm just telling you, this is a 35-year-old guy at Georgia. And look, there is a proven track record of going with a coordinator, giving him an elite job and seeing what he can do. Look at Marcus Freeman right now. I mean, look at what Lincoln Riley did at OU. Look at Bob Stoops, what he did at OU. I mean, there's a long – look at Kirby Smart, at what he's doing at Georgia. Not saying it's unbeaten. There's certainly things. The Jim McElwain didn't work out at Florida, but I'm just saying it could work out.
All right, you see it on the screen. Stroubes, downtown Baton Rouge. All of our live shows proudly brought to you this and every football season by Stroubes Seafood and Steaks, located at 107 3rd Street, downtown Baton Rouge. And they take a high level of pride in the food and service. They're unlike corporate establishments. You've got ownership right there in the building. USDA prime black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And they've got a great seafood menu. So it's not just red meat. They've got the dry aged pork chop, black truffle, lobster, pasta, redfish, duck, Louisiana, and much more. Book your reservation online at Stroubes.com. And as always, tell the hostess, your waiter or waitress, that TigerBait sent you in. A great bar. It's a great place to have your Christmas parties if you haven't booked yours yet for your business and all your holiday gatherings. They got a great bar area and just fantastic food at Stroubes Seafood and Steaks, downtown Baton Rouge, 107 3rd Street. All right.
Thought this was an interesting comment.
I do,
Mike,
but I don't know how I don't know how far he's fallen, but he's fallen a great bit.
There's no way he gets drafted earlier than, say, the 5th round at this point. That might be a little generous.
I think he's going to need to find himself a quarterback guru immediately and get to work and have a combine that's out of this world, where he shows up almost looking like a totally different guy, and do something that he hasn't done, and go work with Jordan Palmer or one of them guys. Who's the other quarterback guru? You got several of them. Go find the guy that Jaden Daniels worked with.
California guy. I know who you're talking about too. I just cannot think of his name. Benny Tiger, Joe Brady.
No,
Mike, I'll let you handle.
No, he doesn't. He likes the NFL. He's not interested in college football.
The only
he couldn't get out of Baton Rouge fast enough after they had the greatest football team in college football history.
The only caveat I will add to that is if he's willing to take a low offer. And why does that matter to me? Not that LSU shouldn't invest money. That's not what I'm getting at, guys. It would mean that, no, he really wanted this opportunity. He was willing to come for a very reasonable offer, low buyout. That proves everything you're saying is incorrect in his head, that he loves the opportunity because he's not doing it for money. Because I think ultimately X's and O's, he's quite the tactician. I think he's a very impressive offensive mind. I wouldn't mind that at all.
I don't know about that connection. Kyle Williams was gone before Brady got there.
Oh, way before.
Yeah. But both Buffalo Bills stops.
Yeah. I don't know about that Kyle Williams taking over at TV. That's kind of a wild take. Ooh. Yes. Jordan Jefferson in 2009 was a serviceable quarterback. 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 2,800 yards. The next year, for 2010, he was rancid. A horrendous quarterback. I think he threw 10 interceptions and 4.
Yeah, but Preston, how many were you this offseason when Nussmeier was considered to be a top 3 Heisman candidate? Were you saying hell no way?
No.
Right. No, nobody was saying that Jordan Jefferson was a Heisman candidate. I mean, this guy's gone from being had me singing his praise and saying he's absolutely a Heisman caliber kid, to now looking at him and we're like, man.
But Jordan Jefferson, the trough.
Where you're comparing him to Brandon Harris and stuff right now.
Maybe Brandon Harris at his best, at his absolute best. I mean, Nussmeier hasn't played awful to the point of what Jordan Jefferson was in 2010. You don't believe me? Go watch some of those games. Okay, memory is short. It's been 15 years. I get it. Jordan Jefferson just in 2010. I mean, the only other quarterback I can think who was objectively worse than him in 2010 would be like Anthony Giddings 2014, where he couldn't complete 50% of his passes. It was bad, Mike. I mean, it was a turnover machine. He maybe it was like he threw for 800 yards, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. It was really bad.
All right. Anything you want to get out before we get out of here?
No, we'll be back Monday night. We'll continue churning along. LSU plays Arkansas next week, 11 a.m. So that should be, by the way, that should be an important game for LSU to win because, if you don't, you're talking about bottoming out at 6-6. And it is I would argue, the most winnable game that is of a Power 5 team. So we'll be back, Zach Nagy, Monday night, 8 p.m. Y'all make sure to hit the bell on the show to get a live notification, and we'll be here.
Yep, Frank Wilson's post game is up on our YouTube channel if you need to want to watch that. Preston's game story will be up shortly on TigerBait, about to post Brian Lazar's analysis, and we've also got player interviews from Tuscaloosa that'll be posted here shortly. And we're going to be putting out our Hot Board 2.0 early this week. We'll have that. And of course, Buddy Sanjay and I again, Wednesday night, 8:00. And so it's going to be another busy week at tigerbait.com. And playoff brackets tomorrow. We're going to be getting out and seeing a lot of high school football recruits with some of these playoff matchups. And so a lot coming your way on TigerBait. That's why we really want you to go subscribe for $1. We're on the message boards dropping tidbits throughout this coaching search and the things that we're picking up. You want to be on our Tiger Den premium message board to get all of that. You're also going to get, if you sign up for, look, by the way, we've had an incredible few weeks of new subscribers. If you just subscribe, don't forget, you need to go to our message board and register for text alerts, so that you get all the breaking news sent to your cell phone as it happens. So you got to sign up for the text alerts. They're not automatic if you're a subscriber, but that's one of the perks of being a TigerBait premium subscriber. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the show, and try to enjoy the rest of your weekend. Got some cold weather coming in, and have a great week. Good night.